Alright guys, so we actually set up something with Rhode Media, and I'm really excited to share this with you guys. We're going to be talking about how to build proper relationships in motorsports, and kind of in general. So we're going to take you along for the ride. You're going to get to see a little glimpse into what it takes to be in motorsports, and trying to build that relationship. It's very important to me to have relationships, so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut together some of my favorite key speaking points on everything that we're going to talk about with the guys at Rhode Media. Their podcast is available for both iTunes users and also Spotify users. So I'm a Spotify user, that's how I find them. I will put a link in the description below so that you guys can find it. So let's meet these guys. Right. Right. Of course, and I appreciate that. Because like we've been talking a little bit about like just how easy it was to talk to you guys the first time, and that's been just really wonderful. And I'm super thankful that you guys wanted to like talk through this with me. Like I've got my camera going. I'm gonna show you guys. All right, guys. So these are the Rhode Media guys. Look at this. We're gonna do a little.
That's legit.
Look at that. Bam. So you can see these guys. You guys can introduce yourself, obviously. So, this is Chris. This is Mr. Rhode from Rhode
Name's
Media.
on the door.
And then we also have Davin. So,
Hi.
he is a hashtag not famous race car driver.
It's true.
Right?
I am not.
Yeah,
very
famous racing driver. Sorry, I'm going to... Davin's passion is definitely focused in cars and stuff. However, he kind of specializes in karts, right? Like, that's your deal.
Yeah, that's right. I race go-karts, competition
Yeah.
go-karts.
Yeah, like the fast ones. Not this like go race with your buddies, but this is like legit go-karts. So I'm gonna poke you guys back over here. You guys can listen in to this conversation. Hopefully we can learn something. All right.
Cool.
I'm super thankful for you guys to want to talk about this stuff. Like, it's gonna really help with bouncing things around, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
This falls into our roots, man. We've had many conversations about the topics that we're going to end up discussing many times at length with multiple people from multiple angles. It's nothing new to us.
Mm.
Well, I definitely got a lot of stuff about like sponsorship stuff, like how to do a proper sponsor. What's funny is I wrote down your all's book of like a sponsorship template. That's something they've got as a Rhode Media. Go to their site. I'll put it in the description. But they have a perfect template. It's beautiful. This is how you do a proper professional sponsorship proposal. Very important. So that's shameless plug.
Oh,
Shameless plug for sure.
We're not famously shameless plug as much as you want.
Right.
Well, the nice thing about those was that when we first got started, that was where we focused our attention was, drivers and driver sponsorship and driver media. And the biggest thing that we keep repeating when it comes to a lot of that stuff is show where you can add your value.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just come and ask like, hey, give me money, bro, so I can accomplish my dreams. 'Cause
Yeah.
there's nothing in it for the person that is giving you money. It's like any other thing. You need to have a value exchange for the thing you're trying to get. And they are effectively buying you or a portion of your time or ability to get some value out of it. So
That's
if
right.
it's just like, hey, bro, I need you to sponsor stickers on my car so I can go drifting. Well, I mean, what's in it for me? I'm going to give you $10,000. Like, what am I going to get for my 10 grand?
Right.
And, sometimes it's something super simple, like your brain power, like your mind power is what they want.
Right.
Sometimes it's your audience is what they like. Sometimes
Right.
it's your enthusiasm is what they like. And you can find something, but don't just come with nothing because you're just holding out a begging tray.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So those templates helped because, to give a good professional look and to make it really easy for people to understand, you could just cut out pages that were relevant. And sometimes it'd say, hey, I'm just trying to introduce myself. Or it's, let's just get down to the numbers, nuts and bolts. Or let me show you the people on my team. Or let me show you some pictures of what we've done in an easy to show way. And so it stopped us from having to create it from scratch every time.
Right.
Because ain't nobody got time for that.
That's
right. We did this.
Yeah, I think that's really important is being professional and understanding that, like, it's not all about you. Like,
Yeah.
it really, like, one thing that I wrote down on my list was like, understand that if you approach a company and you've never used their product before and know nothing about it other than this is a cool thing that I've seen works, I don't think that's a good approach. Like, to me, approach companies that you either are currently using, have used in the past that have worked really well, because then that's you've already almost bought into that company. You've already invested something in them, and that I feel like will also be really good to, on the flip side for you, because it's like, hey, I had, say, BC coilovers on my street car a while ago, and then I realized my car wasn't working very well. So, man, these coilovers that came on this car are old and dingy. Who am I going to talk to? Okay, I'm gonna hit the guys up at BC because that's worked really well in the past. So let's see if they're interested in working with me.
And I think to that too, companies are trying to work with people who will form partnerships and show a commitment, and not just take their money and run away and do nothing with it. And so, like you say, if you've used products that you're in the past that you're trying to reach out to, it shows that level of commitment and at least a minimum level of interest.
Yeah.
So that you're not begging and being like, I don't know what you do. I think you do brake rotors or something, and they're like a suspension company, and you're just like, yeah, it's like I told them this. It's the equivalent of like that, asking somebody out on a date and you don't know their name.
Right.
It's just as awkward.
Yeah, it's like, hey, Karen, my name is Elizabeth. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, totally with you on that, because I don't want to set poor expectations. I don't want you to come with a big check and I'm not able to meet the commitment. But at the same time, I don't want to come with a proposal that's so big that it's going to blow out your entire budget in one day. That's not fair.
It's not fair for
anybody.
anybody.
So it's not fair for anybody.
Yeah.
And so it shows that you care about the success of this brand by saying, if your budget is, let's say, $100K for the whole year, right? Then me coming and saying, can I have $20,000 to go go-karting or $25,000 on my FC car may not be the most realistic thing. And also, like, it also shows that you're willing to invest for the long term, because it's more like, I want to make this work. I want to make this grow. I want to, you give me $1 and I give you back $10, whether it's through followings or, people who come in and buy product. And then next year we can talk about renegotiating how that works, because I've proven to you that I'm a reliable resource to help generate you profit. Because the whole reason they exist is so they can sell their thing. So if you can help more people buy the thing, then they'll give you more money, so more people will buy more things.
Right. Yeah, it's very simple. As long as you can help them sell the thing they're trying to sell, they'll be more interested in helping you, because that helps them sell the thing they're trying to sell. You need to form a relationship before you, in my opinion, before you even make that step of approaching XYZ company about money or product or anything. PRI and trade shows and stuff, if you know they're going to be there, go shake their hand. That is the first step to any relationship, is meeting or a phone call or an email, something other than, hey, sponsor me. Reach out to them. Talk to them. It's so easy nowadays to simply just respond to their Instagram story or respond to a picture. You literally just comment on it. And they can, if you say something cool enough, they'll notice, they'll reply to you. Boom. Relationship. That is the basis. And you don't have to be super weird about it. Like, just, hey, I'm Andrew. I drift a car. It's super flashy. Is there anything that you think I can help your company do? Yeah. How can I help you? That's what you need to ask before, how can you help me? Because they're already selling their stuff. So what's, like, if you're just going to, like, roll in and just ask for something, it's like, okay, so, but why?
Unless you can block, and then it's like, boom. Right?
That's totally different, though.
99% of people are not like that. So.
Because 90% of people in motorsports are not Ken Block. They're not the Hoonigans. They're not, I don't know, some IndyCar racer, which they're something else. But
Yeah.
I mean, they're not a motocross racer that everybody knows. They're not what's the guy that does the BJ Baldwin? They're not him. They're not Ryan Turk.
Right. Or James Stewart or any of those folks.
Any of these guys, you're not them, which is fine. That's perfect actually, because grassroots. That's what most of us are. I mean, I do it because I love driving. I like building the car. I hate building the car sometimes, but I mean, I work 3 jobs, and now I'm doing videos for you guys. I don't know why I'm doing that. So that's 4. That's 4 things, and wife, kiddo, house, dog, which she just wandered in here. But like, I mean, think about that. Like, that's what it takes if you want to be really in it. You can't expect to build your racing career on other people's backs.
Yeah.
You need to be ready to work. You need to be willing to spend the money before you ask for money. You need to invest in the companies you're looking at. Like, I love Vibrant Performance, right? I've been buying Vibrant fabrication components forever. And go to PRI, meet the guys, and now there's a possibility of we can work together. How cool is that?
At the end of the day, all these businesses are run by people.
Right.
And you've got to treat people like people.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it's like you said, I'm Davin, you're Andrew, I like cars, you like cars, we should be friends. And the beginning part of any relationship is about consistency.
Right.
Being able to communicate frequently, not waste everybody's time when we're talking, something of value. Hey, congrats on the thing you did, or let me show you something I'm doing. Is there something I can help you with? That sort of conversation. I'm not just running in being like, I love cars, give me money, because you're not that big of a deal.
Right. And it's not meant to be like you're not that big of a deal because one day you could be. Right? I mean, because you could be a big deal someday. Like, Ken Block was not always known as Ken Block. He was just a guy who was part of DC Shoes and was passionate about cars and driving and racing.
And his name was Ken one day.
Right. He wasn't known as Ken Block as just that's his name is Ken Block. Like, he was just Ken, the guy that liked to go snowboarding and drive Subarus. Like, now he's Ken Block. You don't just call him Ken. You don't call him Mr. Block. He's Ken Block, one word. Boom, one word. And it's the guy who drives the 1,400 horsepower all-wheel drive Mustang.
Right. Or the crazy
truck
unicorn
thing.
Truck thing.
Or the Kazi, or the tracks
600 horsepower rallycross thing.
Or that, what's that truck they did? They did a Raptor with tracks or something. Like,
right.
Ken Block, the guy who drives a Raptor on tracks through the snow so he can go snowboarding with his family.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, he also is part of Hoonigan.
Right.
Like, that's the craziest thing. I mean, Hurt's another really good example. He came from Florida to Beard Life. That's how he kind of like dropped his name on the world with this slammed V8 RX-7 that he got a bunch of really cool media on. Before it was the Twerk Stallion, it was just a wicked looking V8 RX-7 that he drove all over the place. And then he became Hurt with Hoonigan, who drives the Twerk Stallion like a crazy person.
Yeah, whose hood flies off sometimes.
Right.
And like,
I mean,
and drifts in sandals.
Right. I mean, that's the crazy thing. Nobody starts out as this guy or this girl. They come from passion. It's fueled by passion. If you don't have passion and you're not willing to work for things, you're going to plateau, and you're still going to have fun, but you're going to just, that's it. You're done. You have to have this like passion that you think about things constantly, in my opinion.
So Andrew, a lot of people that are going to be watching this will say that they're passionate, and then it becomes a moot point. So then what happens?
Ooh, I got you.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think the big thing about all the examples you gave is that those people found some way to provide value, right? Whether it's entertainment,
yep,
or accessibility
Sure.
or engagement in some way.
Right.
And so, like, I was talking to somebody about this morning. They were like, we were talking about setting goals, and they was like, oh, I really want to just blow my brand up. And I said, well, what does that mean? And they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, so write down what's important to you, and then come back to me. And so they wrote some stuff down, and they said, well, I just want to make a lot of content. I want to make a lot of content and let people know a lot about racing. And I'm like, well, are you trying to let other people know how they can do what you do? Or are you trying to show them that you're having a fun time? Because the first one provides value because I can, emulate what you've done, and I can learn what you've learned and buy what you buy. And that's really useful. The other one's just neat because you're spending money like the rest of us, and sometimes I just don't care. So choose your poison. And he's like, and I'm like, if it's the second one, just make sure it's damn entertaining so that people are following that thing. And then people are like, when you want to go talk to sponsors, you say, I've got 100,000 people who are watching me, drift my pink rainbow Miata, and boom, right? But if it's just like, hey, I'm so-and-so and I like cars, I mean, that's a good opener.
Sure.
But let's figure out where the value is.
Yeah. I think that's kind of tough. Like, you do have to find value, and your passion. The thing is, if you're passionate enough about this, it will push you in a direction that is valuable, in my opinion. But you have to work for it. That's something. You can't just expect it to be handed to you. It's because it's not going to be. Not anymore. Like, it used to be a thing. Because things like, as soon as the internet happened, everything was super accessible.
Right.
So everything blew up. So you had guys like Ken Block and Hurt, and people who were super entertaining that people were like, "What? Who is this guy? I'd love to watch him." So there's the value in that.
Yeah.
Being ridiculous is valuable, or at least it was. It was.
Yeah.
But companies like Hoonigan, which I love those guys, they have kind of taken over that market. So like, if you're just ridiculous, you're going to have to do something a little bit different, right? I mean...
Yeah. I will say, though, on the topic of failing, and this is something that's taken me a while to learn, too, is, relationships sometimes fail, too.
Sure.
But they also do come back around.
I think that's great. Like not everything's going to work every time. It's just not. I mean, it can be like, well, hey, you started out great, but, like, it's just... your following's been tapering off. We'll call it social media stuff. If your following starts, like if you're growing like crazy, because that can happen. Things can blow up, and it can just be that you entered the market at the right time. If the market changes and you don't change with it, sometimes that can hurt a relationship, right? I mean, and the market is a living organism, I think. Like, things can influence things in different directions, and you have to watch those things. You can't just go racing. Nowadays, if you don't keep an eye on your social media stuff, like if your sponsors ask for X amount of photos, make sure you do that.
Mm-hmm. Because
you can end a relationship by simply not going out of your way to get the pictures. Say so-and-so company asks for 4 professional pictures of your car because they want to use that for their marketing, right? And you don't come through. Well, you may have damaged your relationship to where
it shows you're not dependable, right?
Right.
They can't count on you.
Yeah, it's that simple. And if you have any questions, make sure you ask, right? I mean, communication, again, is key. It's very important to communicate your questions and your concerns with your sponsors. Mm-hmm. Right? Or people that you might be even working with.
Or they may say, hey, can you do this big thing? And maybe it's yes, but a twist. Like, I might not be able to do that because I have a life and I have to go to work and I can't take time off. But I could maybe accommodate by doing these other things. Right. Or maybe we can move the value down so that you could find another driver that can go do that. But I'm being transparent. Like, I just got married and I work this job my 9 to 5 and this. And so maybe I can't take all 2 weeks off to go to Lonato.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
But I can do all these other things in my spare time to try to help because I really do want to, but I'm just being straight up with you. This is where we're at. And sometimes that actually works to your advantage because sometimes they're like, oh, is that just a paying thing? Oh, well, let me help you. And other times it's like, oh, yeah, we understand. Well, let's try to make this work then. Sure. Right? But like Andrew, like you were saying, communication's key, right?
Understanding the business side. That's one thing I had written down was understanding ROI, return on investment. So They are going to look at you and what you can bring to the table. That's your ROI. Very important. If you understand that going in, there's no question. Like, oh, you just don't bring to the table exactly what we would need you to for this season. So why don't we just get you a better deal than anybody else can give you?
Right.
Think about that. You're ready to buy the stuff anyways. Think about if you got 50% off of something that cost you $3,000.
Yeah, I mean, 5% off is something, right? Because it's just money I don't have to spend. Like there are some sponsors that I have that are contingency, right? And so we give you discounts off of what you buy. We're not just giving you cash. And I am equally as thankful for that, because that is money that allows me to go do other things with the $5 that I didn't spend on this can go to something else, right? And that builds up over time. So I'm just as grateful for those as the ones that are like, here's the check, here, please do a thing for us, right? It pays dividends either way.
One thing that I did want to touch on was you need to start off by being willing to get off your ass, bust your ass, and go racing. You don't have to have some ridiculous car to go racing. You don't have to be on the most expensive tire. You don't have to be on the most expensive shock. You don't have to be on this or that. As long as you're safe and you're having fun, that is the start of your motorsports career. Right? I mean,
Ross Bentley told me once, race where you have the biggest budget. And that has stuck with me more than anything else. And like, when I look at the things that I compete in every year, it's partly like, how can I use my dollars the most effectively?
Yeah.
Rather than just like, oh, hey, I've had one Formula 4 race and I'll never do it again. Or, I spent all my money on my FD car and I never practice.
Right.
Or, like, it's just kind of things like that. And largely, if you are in that space, there are a million people who are also in that same space that are potential customers.
Yep.
So, I like you drift, so let's use that for an example. You may say, like, look, I'm not going to be FD level, next to Frederick Asbo tandeming and everything, but I go to every grassroots event and I've got my 240 and I coach some people, and on Instagram I'm getting more people into the sport. So when I'm helping them build cars, and so I always suggest that they run your coilovers on every car because they're good coilovers, they're great kits. So I always recommend you need to have BC coilovers on there, and you run this Dunlop tire, and you do these other things, right? You run the Hawk brake pads, and they'll go, if you can reach out to that many customers, I'm interested in you. Maybe we can help you go one step farther, rather than, well, this guy can barely make it on his own, because that's a failure waiting to happen. Right.
Your foot is in the door. That's what I think matters the most. Get your foot in the door. Don't ask for the moon. They're not going to give you the moon. Period. That's it. Don't ask for it. Go in asking for something. What can I get? How can I help you? Would you be interested in working with me? By doing that, by showing your brand loyalty, by just contacting them and say, hey, I'm buying anyways, but is there any way that I can work with you? Because I really believe in your product. Brand loyalty.
And
boom.
Yeah, the second part you got really was the nail on the head, right? Is there anything I can do to work with you? Not what can you do for me?
Right. You can't go in.
90% of sponsors. Yeah.
You have to be willing to buy the products before you can be even in the mindset of being given something. That's really important to me. Again, don't approach people if you can't afford to do what you want to do. Nobody's twisting your arm to have 1,000 horsepower in your Mustang to go drag racing.
Can we put that on a shirt? Can we just put that on a shirt? No one's twisting your arm to have 1,000 horsepower in your Mustang. Not only for crowd safety, but just Jesus, right?
But really, nobody's twisting your arm to try to drive with FD drivers. Nobody's twisting your arm to even go to events. If you want to go to events, go to events. Do what it takes to support your hobby. Remember, it's a hobby. You have to be passionate about it. But guess what? You still have to afford it, right? Because don't jeopardize your house to go racing. I hate to sound like a dad. I'm a dad. It happens. But if you need to work 3 jobs and get your one weekend off to go drifting, or to go karting, or to go dirt racing, or to go trucking, or to go off-roading, whatever it is, that one weekend makes it worth it.
Yeah.
Like,
it sounds like they need to position themselves, one, with a value proposition, but two, in a way to where they don't seem desperate. Desperation is not good, even just from the human position.
Yeah.
When you're presented by somebody that's desperate, you immediately think this fight or flight response that they're going to drag you down.
Mm-hmm.
Just from a human element is a bad position to be in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess, thirsty is not good. You might not make the impact that you could actually make by coming across that way. Like, remember to definitely present yourself as willing to do something for them first.
People ask me, well, why do you want to work here? And I was straight up with them. I said, I love racing. Racing's expensive. So I will work whatever hours you need me to work so that I can go take the time off to go racing. And at the beginning of the year, I put on my calendar, I tell all my team, these are the dates I'm going to be gone to go racing. And I work 13, 15, late nights, early mornings with a smile on my face. Hey, Davin, I need you to come in at 5 in the morning to go speak with our guys from India. No problem. I'm there, right? La 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 la, tra la 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 la. And then when my race weekend comes up, I'm gone, guys. I mean, only call me if the building's on fire. And they know. Because they say, Davin's willing to grind and hustle and use his skills in his own way to make this work. So he gets to take the benefit off to go do the thing that he loves to do, right? I try not to complain when I see other people with bigger budgets. That can be hard because shiny objects are difficult to not be jealous over. But I also don't try to put myself in positions of things that I can't use my natural skill set to be successful. So I've worked with some people that are like, well, why don't you just quit your job and work so-and-so so you can have more seat time to go karting? I'm like, but that reduces my budget to go racing, so that defeats the purpose. I have less resource and I'll be less successful because I'm not setting myself up for success. Can't do that. Sorry.
Right. I mean, if you can't afford to go racing.
Right.
So what, quit your job so that you can have more time to go racing, but guess what? You don't have any money to go racing? Oh, sounds super fun. Like I said, this whole conversation with these guys is about building relationships and how important it is to do so. Like, it's not about just you or just them. It's about what can you guys do for each other to move up in whatever you're trying to move up in. I don't care what it is, whether it's racing, whether it's where you work. That's a relationship too. It's, like Davin works for someone who, as long as he does well at work, he can go racing. Mm-hmm. He's willing to work. Mm-hmm. That's a good relationship. Like, they're like, yo, you go racing. By the way, we're not going to call you this weekend at all. Mm-hmm. Building's on fire. We'll take care of your plant that you have in the corner and your 40-inch monitor with your picture on it.
Mm-hmm. Like, we'll run that outside.
We'll run that outside for you. Like, we'll grab the things that are necessary. You go have fun. We'll take care. We're going to hold the fort down. That's a good relationship. That's a good working relationship. You're going to be surrounded by a lot of different people in your friendships and your racing career and meeting people at the track. You guys all love cars. You will find people that are willing to cheat you, to walk all over your good name, to try to get something for themselves. You will run into that. It's gonna happen. It's gonna bum you out. It's gonna ruin you for a little bit, I think. Like, once it happens, you're gonna get really jaded, and you're gonna be super, super just closed up, I think.
It's like the stages of a grief, right? Like,
right.
Yeah.
And you'll bounce back. You will. I think that I know that I've run into stuff like that where it's like you find that person who is not who you thought they were, and maybe it happened because they ruined a relationship for you. And then that's, you find that out, and say you've known these people for a really long time and you just didn't realize that, they were willing to do whatever. It's going to bum you out. But you know what? You'll move past it. You will be a stronger person for it, right? And you get to bounce back. And you get to redo your relationships. Mm-hmm. Which, sometimes it sucks. It does. But you know what? It gives you a chance to build a even stronger relationship with whatever company or friend or person in the long run. Or not. You can clip it. If you're sponsored by somebody and you have a problem, don't put them on blast on social media. Let them help you fix it. Like, they've probably run into whatever it is that's happened. Say, I'm just going to go ahead and throw, if your ECU isn't doing what you think it should be doing, do you know all the ins and the outs? No. Ask your sponsor. Ask the people. If you ask, it could be a you thing, or it could be a them thing. But you know what? If you give them the chance to fix it, they're going to fix it. If it's possible. Maybe it's something easy. Maybe it's like, oh, hey, did you ground this wire like you're supposed to? No, I didn't see that in the instructions. Oh, sometimes it's easily missed. It could be that easy. But if you had put them on blast, oh, man, blah, 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 ECU blew up my car, and it's like, you come to find out that really they smashed some wires somewhere and it grounded the entire ECU out and nuked the ECU. You just put them on blast and potentially could have ruined that relationship.
When CoreWorks was at FD Atlanta, they had a similar issue with their Hall Tech, but it wasn't because of Hall Tech. They misplaced a wire and it started to ground out and burn. It was a very similar story, right? So what they did is they called up you guys,
Yep.
and they're like, hey, we need a thing, and you guys stepped up and overnighted it, and they were back running within a couple hours. That same scenario could have gone very, very poorly if they would have hypothetically jumped on social, started bad naming the brand, and instead it went the other way around. Now we did the video. It's a full blown video with thousands of views, and the stories that came out of that was positive for everybody involved because they were respectful of each other.
Right.
And everybody stepped up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That's the stuff that I love. I love being given the opportunity to troubleshoot something with somebody, right? So if you have a problem, even if it is on you or if it's on whoever, if you give them the opportunity to fix it and they fix it, guess what? You might be racing again.
And don't flake fast. Like, I come from the world of karting, and that happens so often. Please don't flake fast where, you have a problem with your product, and you immediately go running to a competitor product because it'll get you what you want. That looks way worse than you think.
That was a perfect example. Thank you, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
that could have gone in a very different direction. And thank you to the Koru guys for giving us the opportunity to make it right. And look at that. Boom, they were back in the race and went further than they had ever been. Right?
Didn't they finish fourth or something like that?
Yeah, they did. They went from basically borderline packing up to I won't go too deep into the story, but they finished fourth in Pro 2, and it wasn't the position that they finished in. The entire weekend, the entire event felt like a win.
Yeah.
Well, I think they did top 4 in Pro 2, and then they went great 8 in Pro 1, right? They ended up...
Right. Correct.
So, I mean, that's further than they had ever been, and it's all because they just brand loyalty and trusted the people they are working with.
And it's a story I remember. That's the other thing, is that they took all of those challenges and they turned it into a story that provided value of like, hey, we have these awesome sponsors that stepped up when we had a problem, we overcame all this adversity, went farther than we ever did, and then it was a good story to tell that I still remember. I'm just like, oh yeah, that happened. Where, anyone who goes on and says, this product sucks, I hate this thing, the whole weekend was crap, I never remember.
All the bad publicity fades away quick. If you can twist a bad situation into a good one, it gets remembered. Because it shows you're human. It goes back to the being willing to fail and show it.
Mm-hmm.
Can turn it around. That can get flipped real quick to such a positive thing. Well, I mean, think about it. Say your sponsor, one of your favorite sponsors, you don't necessarily come through as well as you could. Well, what if they go under?
Right.
What if your favorite engine builder just can't build engines anymore because they can't afford to? Think about that. You go to another engine builder and your motors blow up every time. Guess what? You're not winning or even driving as much anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's pretty important to make sure that you are bringing what you can bring to the table and then trying to go above and beyond if possible.
Yeah.
Like, don't overextend yourself to do it, right? I mean, like, do your best for your sponsors. And for any relationship, they don't have to be giving you all kinds of stuff. If you already run their stuff, tag them because you believe in their products. Tag them in your social media. Think about that. Like, say you've got 2,500 followers and you average 350 likes per picture. If you tag them, that's 350 people that have now been exposed to a product that, say, they've never heard of. And then they go to that website and they're like, man, this is cool stuff. That company may not have given you anything. But guess what? That gives you something to bring to the table.
So one thing I was going to say to that, because it's one trick that I've learned to make my job a little easier year over year, especially with social media, is there are some times where I don't have the best memory, so I will forget. And so I mean to tag so-and-so, or I mean to add so-and-so, and I just don't remember. And then I feel bad. So what I did is I wrote a list of all of the handles of all of my sponsors and put it in an email. Just made it basically a hashtag list. And every time I post something, I just copy-paste that hashtag list and drop it in. That way I don't forget anybody. And I can sit there for a minute, irrespective of the high of the thing that I'm excited to share on social media, write down a list of everybody to make sure I'm not forgetting anybody. Make sure it's all the way that I want it to go. And then it makes it super easy, hey, had a great test day, boom, right? Yeah.
I don't even know if you guys can see this. I have a copy-paste hashtag list. It's the only way to do it because nobody's perfect. You can't remember everything.
Nobody's perfect. Yeah, I can't remember. And I feel bad because there are some times where I'll be so focused on the particular thing that I'll forget somebody. And it's not because I'm trying to be a dick. It's just that we're human and I don't remember and I'm typing and I don't type all the things right? So, use the tools at your disposal to make your life easier where possible because, you have, what was the thing that said the power of your cell phone was able to send the space or the NASA to the moon. Yeah. Right? It's like the equivalent of what sent the Apollo rocket to the moon. Yeah. So there's no excuse. Right? Like, it's just, you have to think about it for a minute and make it easy for yourself. And so for 2019, that's been my new commitment of make sure that I have easy ways to mention sponsors, easy ways to keep all of those things in play so that I don't have to stress, did I forget? Yep. It's just boom, boom, done. Appreciate you, boom, done.
Yeah, and if you pick up somebody new, it's easy enough. You just go into your little list, add their stuff, because they're going to tell you what they want. They're going to tell you, hashtag blah, 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 XYZ. Also, please mention our stuff, like our company. Oh, by the way, we have a sister company for Europe. Do you care to tag them too? Cool. Mm-hmm. What does that take from you? That takes 2 seconds. Not even 2 seconds. It doesn't even take any brain power other than copy all, paste in comments or wherever or in email. Like, how hard is that? It's not. It makes your life so much easier. Use the tools. These guys know, in case you were wondering. There's a reason they do what they do. And they're good at it. Very good at it. Don't oversell yourself, because then you are trying to live up to expectations that you might not be able to come through on. Davin was talking about, like, if you know you can't take 2 weeks off to go to one race, don't promise it. Let your people know. Like, it's very simple. It's not hard to tell them that you can't do something. It is hard to try to make something work when you know you can't.
Yeah. Like, it's a business thing, right? Like, if you set poor expectations and don't communicate, the client does not care that you failed because you told them you could do this. So effectively, you lied. You told them you could do this. You broke your back trying to do something that you can't do, and then you came back crying saying, well, I did my best and it just didn't really work out. Where if you had made the appropriate expectations and said, look, this is something that might be a bit of a stretch. I can do these other things. Does this work? Right. And or even if it's something within your ability, but just something doesn't work, communicate. Like, I can easily make this race. I had engine problems the whole weekend. I know you guys are a tire sponsor. I know you guys were expecting me to run, but send them pictures of the engine and what you're trying to do and the guys you're working with. They're like, I'm trying. It's just I'm keeping you in the loop of what's going on. Right. Yep. That's better than saying like, oh yeah, I'm going to go win Supernats next year. Totally going to happen, because that's not going to happen. So, right, because it only takes one of those for your credibility to go down the tubes of that guy's a flake. Right? You don't need that. You don't need that on your reputation. It's hard to get rid of that, because people will then come back and be like, remember that time the guy screwed that up really, really badly?
Yeah, because if you screw it up, it's fine. Again, failing is an option. It's not the end of the world if something happens. Motors blow up. Tires pop. Your truck that you tow your vehicle with, the motor blew up. It lifted ahead. And you just plain can't leave your house. If you let your people know, communication, it really will be okay. Because if they find out as like beforehand, if you tell them before social media finds out, it's much better than like them finding out on Facebook. And then, like, next week, on the Tuesday after, that you were supposed to be so-and-so place to show off your brand new livery that has their name all the way down the side of the car, you probably screwed the pooch on that one.
The sponsor needs to execute on the assets that you're giving them as well.
Yep.
Right? They need to activate on these sponsorships. Them not activating on these sponsorships is it's like them buying a flashlight but not buying batteries. It's like, that shit doesn't make any sense. So it does need to go both ways. So again, to your listeners, when you're researching and you're approaching the business table, make sure that you do your own due diligence and that they are executing on it, because if they're not, it's going to be harder for you to prove your ROI, depending on what your approach is. But make sure they're executing on it as well.
Yeah, I think I've actually got the perfect example of, like, if you can't make something. So Grid Life Midwest is one of my favorite events. Well, my most favorite event is going to be happening, and we're expecting our second child. However, the due date is Grid Life Midwest. So I was like, okay, well, that's not going to work. My wife and I both have been planning for her to finally come to Grid Life with me for Midwest. Well, that's not going to work, is it? So my plan now, to make sure that I have some sort of exposure that is maybe not at the same exact level as Midwest, because it's a lot of exposure. I'm going to go to Grid Life, or I'm going to go to Import Alliance, Spring Meet. And I'm going to drive with some people there. Like, no, Ryan Turk's not going to be there, but, like, I know Kelsey Rowlings is going to be there. So why don't we jump in with Kelsey and kick it, you know? It also gives some of the people who help me out a different exposure, because Grid Life is motorsports. It's 100% motorsports. Guess what? IA is not all motorsports.
Right.
You got the Stance kids. You got just regular Joes that are just random guys that wandered into the, Atlanta Motor Speedway to check out cars. Well, now they're getting exposed to drifting.
Yeah.
Never seen it before. Just because you can't make some super big, ridiculous event, if you let your sponsors know, or people that you work with, or people that you want to work with, say, I've been to Grid Life every year for the past 3 years. You know what? Something very important is happening in my life here. How about this as an option, like you were saying earlier? Like, give them other options. Just because you can't make XYZ doesn't mean that you're not still bringing value if you go to ABC, right? I mean, you're still getting your stuff out there. You're still exposing other people, maybe even more than you would normally, because you've been to XYZ event for the past 3 years, but you haven't looked into some of the different events, right? Like,
right, yeah.
It doesn't hurt to try different things.
No, I mean, and be willing to shake hands and meet people at these events. While you're there, make sure to also, create that value, capitalize around the time to show that it is important that you went, or that you created some exposure while you were there, or you made a relationship while you were there, or something, right? Because otherwise you just kind of fall into the noise. Yeah,
hard work is key, I think. I feel like it, to me, like, if you've been willing to really work and you haven't had a lot of people helping you out, I mean, maybe your family, say you work on your car with your dad, or a perfect example is my dad has helped me because I try to do so many things, I don't have time to fiberglass my front bumper. I also hate fiberglass, but guess what? So does he. So I ran over my bumper at Grid Life. It was a Vertex bumper. I can't afford to buy a $1,200 bumper. So Dad said, hey, well, I'll just fix it. And I was like, you hate fiberglass. But guess what? He is my biggest sponsor. He takes care of me. He makes sure that I don't do stupid things. Guess what? That's the biggest value. And people who are helped by their parents, there's two different kinds of those. People who just take the money and run and whatever. And then there's the people who make it a family affair.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? I mean, I feel like your family, your friends, and your loved ones are some of the most important things in your life.
Yeah.
Like,
Amen
I'm
to
going to
that.
get sappy, right? Like, we're emotional people here. If you can't count on your friends and family, you can't count on anybody.
No.
And guess what? If you can't count on your friends, they're not your friends.
Yeah.
If they're not going to be here and help you put a motor together because guess what? Some really bad business deal went down. That's me. That happened to me.
Yeah.
Shameless. But that's my examples, right? I mean, like, I had a buddy who just came through, said, what do we need to do? You can call him a sponsor. He's going out of his way to help you. Yeah, I think it's really important to make sure that you include your family in these decisions too. It's like, again, I'm not talking about immediate family like wife, but like your friends, because typically you can count your true friends on one hand, right? So make sure that you include them in these decisions and talk through it, because they might give you an angle that you might not think about. My wife has insisted this year, she's a finance person. That's what she does every single day. She's amazing at it. And for whatever reason, I haven't capitalized on that until this year. What is wrong with me?
Right?
She is like, wait, so you've never budgeted your year? I'm like, no, why? Right? It's like, you know what? Like she that's the kind of support that you get from these people is like, they're blind. They know that you spend way too much money in one thing. But you know what? If they know that and they're ready to help you, that means that they are your sponsor. Think about that.
Well,
for sure.
this was fun.
Absolutely,
we should do
man.
this more often.
Yeah,
I've had
whenever
fun.
you want, man.
Yeah.
I'm super. I wish you weren't so far away. I'm telling you.
This is why we work together.
This is amazing, man. Like, like I said, you guys just make this so easy. Like, I just enjoy it. Like, I don't always get to deal with super professional people, and it's just nice. It's refreshing, you know. Like, I love that we were able to make this happen. Like, what a cool thing.
Well, I just figured it was worth asking. Like, worst you're gonna say is no or busy, and then I'd be like, okay, cool. And
I mean,
would've
what's
just
the
gone into
difference
something
though?
else.
Like, you can see me look over at the camera and look like a crazy person, but at the same time, like, I'm getting the things that I think people need as far as, like, my channel's not big, but this will help people. Like, that's the thing. I'm doing a channel not to make money. If it does eventually supplement something that makes me be able to focus a little bit more on my family, that would be amazing. So, like, if I don't have to bust ass as hard, I will never not. I don't go on vacation well. Like, when I go away, I'm like, oh man, I should have done this, or why am I not doing this? Like, I've been able to let go in one location, that was Hawaii, and that's because I had almost no cell service anywhere. Everywhere we went was beautiful, and I was distracted by distractions.
Yeah.
Obviously, a lot of this stuff I'm doing on the side is mainly to, like, try to educate people and help them. My deal is, like, I need to go down there and be like, hey guys, just so you know, if you don't show support to the sponsors, they're going to go somewhere else with their money.
Yeah.
They need to understand that. Like, even if you go and buy a hoodie, that's a trackable thing.
Yeah.
Like, yo, in from East 10, gonna buy a hoodie. I'm gonna buy a shirt for my girlfriend. And, like,
Yes, please.
like, That's the thing is like, and that's, you know, what's crazy is like, I went on to your all's website and I was like, yo, these shirts are legit. And like, you guys have coffee mugs.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty legit. Like 2 sizes. You guys have the big one for people like me.
Yeah.
So then like the other thing was that's when I stumbled across your all's sponsorship proposal template.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Dude,
that's going to be in the description. Alright guys, so I really hope you enjoyed going through some of the things that I think are really important as far as relationships and stuff are concerned. I want to really thank the guys from Rhode Media for being a part of this video. So I'm only put in the stuff that I felt was the most important with this. They are going to put together an entire podcast on this. I will put that link in the description below. I'm also going to link you to their other site and their tags on Instagram. That will help you find them a little bit. They have a lot of really good ideas and stuff that you can get on their site. Their shirts are pretty cool. I did order one of those. I like to support the people that I feel like support me. So I hope you guys took away something from this video, and I really hope that I was able to help you maybe shed some light on some stuff. So please like this video. If you have anything that I didn't cover in this, comments. I need you guys to start commenting. Let me know what you want to see more of. If you have any questions like this, I'm going to start posting some stuff on my Instagram about figuring out what you guys want to see more videos of. I want to be able to help you guys. This is not a money maker for me, so I want to help you guys. That's the big thing. Very important to me. If you guys have a really good night, weekend, week, try to be positive in everything you do. That advice. I'll see you guys soon.